I've seen that students are generally taught by other teachers who claim like so many things here and there. But the very basics that make an impact or they make and break a grade are your very basic foundations, which are sentence structures, punctuation, how to vary sentence structures, how to use a particular language, formal, informal, humorous, what kind of tone you need to adapt according to the question's requirements, how to paragraph, and how to use vocabulary in your different types of writings, be it narrative, persuasive. These will be like short exercises also. So, like, I'll be like giving also the word lists for you to work on. Um, these are the main generic topics here, which will be further expanded into more work. Okay, so keep in mind that more A star work will be coming your way. Model A star letter, so formal letter writing, although letter writing is considered one thing, but there's a huge difference between writing formal letters and informal letters. And within a formal letter writing type under directed writing question, you may be asked to write informative letters or complaint letters. You never know what type of letter you need to attempt in the exam paper. So I'll actually go in detail and discuss at length how to write an informative letter. If you are getting one question, of course, it will be from past papers, and how to write a complaint letter from past papers. And of course, these are going to be accompanied by the assignments that you'll be actually attempting. All right, so it's not just okay how to write a formal letter and I can do it. Remember, it is all about practice, it is all about getting the right direction. In order to A star grade, you don't have to be an A star student. You just need to learn and practice and be guided in the right direction. Coming to the argumentative essay, which is another composition part, composition sections question where you get two topics. Of course, I'll be going through in the same manner, but there'll be like more detailed assignments coming up. Model A star essay with the tools and planning and how to plan a particular argumentative essay writing topic. I will teach you how to, of course, after your assignment, I will teach you how to plan your argumentative essay, how to come up with the ideas, how to use those particular techniques that students have never ever heard of in their 3 years O levels programs in their schools. I guarantee that. Moving on to the next part, we have the fourth module. This is where the complete course will be coming to an end, and we'll be culminating it with a mock exam session. We'll have magazine article writing. Again, you can go through these things on your own. I think this is like self-explanatory here. Everything will be like taken from past papers. The example will be solved exam paper question with particular techniques highlighted and uncovered. Descriptive essay writing will be like writing descriptive essays also for the composition section. Informal letter or email writing. Email writing is mainly for, it is like more or less interchangeable, especially for the IGCSE second language students. Then we'll have our final mock exam where you'll be attempting your mock exam paper 1 and mock exam paper 2 in separate sessions. Those will also be posted. Any questions?
Miss, out of these three, argumentative, narrative, and descriptive, what do you suggest we should attempt in the
In
paper?
grade 12, in grade 11, it is dependent upon the student. By grade 11, a student should know what is his forte, what is his strength. At school, of course, when I see students work, and of course when I will see your work, I will find out, of course, and I'll make you learn to identify your strengths also. So you see, oh, am I a good writer when it comes to stories, or am I a good writer when it comes to descriptions? Do I have a knack for descriptive language? Am I into literature? Do descriptions come to me easily? Or is it that I am a good argumentative writer? Because in an argumentative essay, you need to come up with the logic and the statistics and numbers and persuasive writing techniques, right? The argumentative techniques, you should be like learning those techniques that we teach in the argumentative essay section. Understood? So this is
Yes, miss.
actually dependent upon, and you should discover yourself. It requires like your regular practice, like how much time is left now, just a few months to go. And of course you have a lot on your plate when it comes to your O level exams, like 7 other lessons, right? 7 other subjects. So giving and dedicating like at least half an hour a day to English language would be good, and practicing past papers through topicals first. So you go for like topic wise, or and then you can move on to your yearlies also. That is also perfectly fine. You can start in any order, but of course my course has been structured according to topics, so that students know what type of techniques are used in which type of writing. All right, so this is how it is. Coming to the exam results, of course, mashallah, alhamdulillah, I have got a record results to 77, 70 plus percentage students. More than 70% students get an A and A stars. It's a record, mashallah, alhamdulillah. The ones who are still in school and have taken the course in grade 9, grade 10, they're doing a very good job. Their results speak volumes of their success. It is also about your own effort. Of course, you need to put in the effort that is required. All right. Any questions about the course?
No, miss, all clear.
Okay. Coming to the paper pattern, are you aware of the basic paper pattern? Any idea?
Yes, miss, paper one is basically the writing paper in which we are given two questions. One is the compulsory one, the directed writing, and the second one is consists of three topics: argumentative, descriptive, and narrative. And we have to do one of the all of these three. And for paper two, we are given two tasks. One is the like the summary and the content points,
Yeah.
which is also of 25 marks. And the second section B is comprehension, in which we have to solve different variety of questions.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Yes. All right. Perfectly. Fine. Yes. I also, from time to time, I also share my own blog links that I write. I've specifically written a couple of blogs that are specifically for O level students. So I will also be sharing the links to them so that you could refer to those things, those materials that are online on the website, and you can access them on your own. Okay. Um, all right. So basically, yes, in the writing paper, 5% is the assessment one that is like checked, which is the reading assessment objective. And then 45% of the writing paper checks your writing skills. All right. In the reading paper, 45% is the assessment of the reading skills, and 5% of the writing skills are also checked. But we all know that if you're writing question like comprehension questions answers, then of course you need to get your grammar correct as well. um, these are the assessment objectives set by Cambridge. Demonstrate understanding of explicit meanings. So the questions, once like I take you through the paper, the sample paper, you would understand. Okay, this particular question is actually checking my understanding of the explicit meanings as I understand them in the text or not. All right. So we'll also understand what kinds of questions check your ability to understand the implicit or hidden meanings and attitudes in the question. We'll also learn to analyze, evaluate, and develop facts, ideas, and opinions, mainly identifying and developing facts through the summary writing questions, through our directed writing questions also. How, when you read a particular passage, how you pick information, specifically when writing a summary, specifically when writing answers to the comprehension questions. How you can pick and get support from the evidence from the text, and get that evidence support from the text while writing your answers. The meaning and effect question is what is assessed under reading assessment objective number 4, where the question specifically asks you to write the meaning and the effect of a particular phrase given in the meaning and effect question. Have you seen the meaning and effect questions before?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so you how do you like usually do on them generally?
Like I no, I do not do good in them.
Okay, what do you think is the like what would help you?
Miss, I fail to grab like the demand of the question. For example, like you get it?
Yes, I get it. Absolutely. And I will actually break it down for you. If you've seen the demo video of my first module, you would see that I was like in one of the parts, I was like actually breaking down how to understand the meaning and effect. What is the question asking you? Similarly, the summary writing. So there are certain things, tips, and techniques to actually practice, apply. Application is super important. So I'll teach you how to actually get the meaning and apply that, how to start your effect, and how to understand the effect of the given phrase in the question. All right. So that will become super easy once we go to that particular part. Writing, of course, how to articulate your experiences and express what is thought, felt, and imagined, especially when writing stories, especially when writing a magazine article or a description, especially how you structure, organize ideas and opinions for deliberate effect, what kind of language you pick, what kind of words you use, how you organize and structure your ideas in paragraphs, how do you bring coherence in your paragraphs. This is something that we all will learn. The purpose is not to highlight what Cambridge has given us, but the things that we will also focus in our course. What kind of register is appropriate for what particular task? If I am getting a formal letter in the question, how do I understand that? It's a formal letter. How do I understand that it is an informal text, and how do I need to ensure that my register has to be the tone has to be perfectly appropriate to the question. How do we use make accurate use of spelling, punctuation, and grammar? Of course, I'd be like giving you hints there, especially students make the mistakes of incorrect use of punctuation marks, especially comma and semicolon and full stops. Especially students like make the mistakes of writing run-on sentences. How to overcome such issues? How to use a particular sentence structure that is required in the exam papers, that is required in the um, in your exam papers. Now, what particular things are we going to focus on? We're going to focus on, well, as a student, of course, you should be reading stories, articles, reviews, essays, and blogs. Blogs and essays and news will surely help you to improve a particular to write a very good argumentative essay, a very good informative or maybe complaint letter, or a report or a speech. And when it comes to writing stories, if you read stories, you'd be doing really well on descriptive and narrative essays also. So as a student, the students are expected to like spend their 3 years of O levels to just read all these. We'll also focus in our course the use of language and style in the ways that which writers achieve effects, how you can create a particular dramatic effect in writing a narrative essay. If you're writing a descriptive essay, how you are going to describe and plan different parts of the requirements of the question. Um, Opinions, perspectives, bias, facts, everything will be everything that you see here highlighted is going to be a part of our course, and we are going to achieve these objectives. Keeping in mind all of that, I have developed this particular course. Okay, moving on to this particular part, you have this is the last year, 2023, where the students will be tested on argumentative also. Next year onwards, like 2024 onwards, they will not be getting an argumentative essay topic. Now you get two of them. Next, in 2024, only descriptive and narrative essays will be given in the composition section. For directed writing, our special focus would be letters and slash email for the IGCSE. But I know for O level 1123 letters, both formal and informal, covered in the two different modules: formal report, article, and speech. Each of these written for a different audience for a different purpose, and that is given to you in the questions. We'll be using them, um, using these prompts from the question. Okay, shall we open the papers now?
Yes, miss.
Okay, just a second. Let me just open the paper now. And there we go. Right, let me just share the page with you. Mehak, yes, I do understand. For meaning and effect, you would really understand. For the first step is to understand the question first. I will specifically share the things and tips for that. All right. And of course, you'd have a hands-on practice with examples as answers. All right, your reading paper are part of our first module. This is the question paper. You get to write notes. This is where the examiners will check your ability to identify and pick the notes as required in the question. Let's say for this particular question, you are going to read the question first, and then you'll move on to picking the passage. You're going to underline the passage. Develop this habit. Of course, I'll give you like some tips and techniques to follow when you start the sessions. The next topic is going to be, of course, our next topics would be reading for ideas. In the first section of the paper, this particular question carries 12 marks, 1A notes. It specifically checks your ability to pick the information from the passage according to the question requirements. right? And you'll be given the hints. Of course, we'll be doing it in detail when we reach the reading for ideas part of the passage. And 12 marks are for this particular part of the paper. And using those content points, you'll be required to write a coherent, short, concise summary between 150 and 180 words. There are certain requirements that many students and teachers miss. I'll be talking about those particular requirements. I'll also share an exemplary step by step process where you will see me picking ideas. We'll read the passage together. I will share the selected points, how I have selected a particular point, and I'll ask you why I did that. And then we'll go into the details of identifying and selecting points as required by the question. And then you'll also see me taking you through an exemplary summary, which is between the required word limit, which uses certain tools and techniques. All right. Okay. Any
Yes, Miss.
questions?
Correct.
Any other
No.
questions? Okay. Then we will have another part, which is here the m- comprehension in this meaning reading for meaning also has a third question, another question, which is this one, um, opinion questions, paragraph 3, 4, and 5. Now, these particular questions specifically are the ones where students lose these solid 3 marks. I've seen many students struggle in this particular part. Yeah, yeah, what about you? Bitter, what about you? Do you really struggle in this question generally?
No, I did not.
Okay, very good. All right. So you know how to differentiate between. Um,
Yes, opinion and fact.
yes, okay, great. Opinion and effect questions. Perfect. All right. Um, so we'll discuss how to attempt these questions also. Let me tell you, these marks and those 12 marks for the content points are very, very easy to score. All you need to do is like be very, very strategic in your approach when it comes to reading the paper. Then we'll move on to the other part. Of course, you have the passage. Each passage has a particular, like paragraph in the passage has a particular question. This is where we'll talk about how we know which question is an implicit meaning question, an explicit meaning question, a reasoning question, and own words question. There are one word questions that particularly ask you about that. Then we'll have the vocabulary part as well. You will be practicing past papers on the website. There are like I have already developed a quiz for the vocabulary part using the past paper questions. You will also practice them. You will have to upload the assignments also, all right, as instructed in each particular assignment and each particular day. Any questions about these questions?
No, miss.
All right, shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to the next part. Next up, we have our um, writing paper. Let's take a look at the writing paper here. And this is where we are going to spend a lot of time in the, especially in the other modules as well. Um, Remember the very first thing that you have no choice in the writing paper in the first section. So you have like complete 1 hour 30 minutes, and you have to produce A star quality 2 pieces, one composition, one directed writing. Okay, each one of these needs to be so good that the examiner says, okay, I have to actually this particular question is among the top ones. All right, the situation is given to you. You are assessed your ability to fulfill the task requirements, which we call the task fulfillment. Task fulfillment carries 15 marks, and then language, which includes mechanics, spellings, punctuation, grammar, everything with regards to the vocabulary usage, sentence structure, syntax, all of that, 15 marks. And then you'll also be taking a look at the mark schemes also, because you're appearing in the exam paper, so you'll also need to know that. We'll learn how to plan the body of the letter, how to introduce, what not to do in a particular directed writing question, be it a letter, formal, informal, complaint, informative, expressive speech, informative speech, magazine article, informative magazine article written for teachers or written for principal, complaint letter, anything that comes under the directed writing question, it will be discussed in detail while we plan it together and while we write it. You'll also be looking at the sample examples. We'll also understand when the writer says, okay, the examiner says, make it polite and informative. What is it that I can use to make my register and tone polite and informative? Am I slipping into writing a story if the letter has asked me to write down a particular like account of something that has happened? So we'll be like talking about all those mistakes that our students make usually and how not to make those mistakes. Then comes any questions for the directed writing question?
And no, miss.
Okay. All right, let's move on. The composition section. Okay, this is where you get a choice of how many questions in total?
Three.
Okay,
Oh,
three
sorry.
types. Three.
You are asking about the. Yes, I'm talking
Okay.
about the types.
All right, no worries. Okay, so three types and five questions. Out of these five questions, we
Yes.
have to choose one. Now, this is something that I would want my students to be very, very particular about. Um, Remember, we all know the kinds of writers we are. If you just open your, because you go to school, don't you?
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
so you must have taken a look at the kinds of assignment feedback you get in your copies. Some teachers just check it, and do they give you any suggestions how to improve or what not to do, what you've done, how to improve the mistakes you're making? Anything as such? Detailed checking or just a check, check, check?
No, it is not like very dedicated. They did not give any dedicated suggestion, but they write a few remarks after checking it.
Such as, give me examples. Generally.
Improve your work.
Okay, improve your work. How to improve my work? I need directions. All right.
Exactly.
If I, as a student, get such a feedback, I would say, okay, give me a plan. Tell me what have I done wrong where? And then I tell you, okay, beta, in paragraph number 4, you have not developed this particular point. Punctuation, this is wrong. You're not you're making a serious error, especially those basic words like homophones when the students make the errors of like effect and effect, there and there. Cambridge takes those very, very seriously because at this stage in O level, students need to have those corrected properly under their control. Similarly, where to bring variation. If you're writing a report or a story and you're continuing like writing, I went there, I was this, I was doing that, I'd say, beta, this is not going to get you any marks. You need to do this to avoid doing this. If you want to improve your argument, your first paragraph is missing this particular point. So you'll be getting paragraph by paragraph directions. All right. On your
Okay.
assignments also, you'll be getting the feedback again. And I think I do keep on posting on the group the kinds of feedback my students usually get from me. All right. Two description. It's just one description topic. In description topic, usually there are like two contrasting things that can be places, animals, people, occasions, or two occurrences maybe. But the candidates are asked to actually describe them in detail. We'll also talk about when the students fall into the trap of narrating instead of describing. All right, the tools you need to describe, things you need to have in your repertoire, in your toolbox, the A star writers toolbox, because this is what I call the A star tools, A star writers toolkit you need to have and develop it through this course, which of course will be required for you to ace your exam papers. As a student, I suggest you guys to have a notebook. If you have the past papers printed, perfect, because you'd be required to actually put like upload the pictures of your past paper work. Do you have past paper booklet?
Yes, I have.
Okay, great. Unsolved with mark schemes, without mark schemes, what?
With mark schemes.
With mark schemes. Okay. I would, of course, I would suggest, especially for the reading part, if you really, really want to benefit from it. I know for the writing part, you won't be getting like more. information from the mark schemes for sure, because every answer varies, but the requirements are usually given. But for the reading part, I would suggest you not to even look at the mark scheme and give me your work as it is. All right, as you genuinely do it, so that you get the right direction at the right time. Understand? So your honesty is very, very important at this stage, because then you will learn, oh, I was not doing it that way. This is how I need to attempt my question. Got it? So it is very, very important for you to
Yes.
not to refer to the mark schemes at this stage. Start with me from scratch so that you get the exact techniques properly without relying on mark schemes. There will come a time where you're going to refer to the mark schemes, or where I'll tell you to just refer to the mark scheme and now check your answers and mark yourself now. Understand? So just understand the value that you'll be getting from the course. Next up, we have argumentative essay topics. I'll also teach you how to break down the questions, how to develop your particular argument, how you can, in a short span of time, you can do that. Narrative story, we have got like two options. What to pick? Usually, what topics get more marks. If you are good at narrative, like mostly I've seen students who do really, really well on narratives. I've seen students who have done an excellent job on writing arguments and ended up writing A-star argumentative essays in their exam papers. All right. Any questions about the exam papers?
No, miss.
Okay, just a second. Next up, we have okay. This is the same information that we talked about. All right. I wanted to talk about this one particularly. Time management is super important. Okay. When you sit down and practically attempt a particular question, please make sure that you have, especially when I give you a particular assignment task, so make sure that you have a watch with you, or at least you're keeping a track of your time. Why? Because many times it happens that good ideas start coming to us later on, or maybe we take too long. The idea is to striking the balance between attempting the task within the given time while fulfilling the requirements of the directed writing question as well as your composition task. So, this is super important for you to understand this particular aspect of your exam paper. Um, if I ask you, have you attempted descriptive so far? Anything that you haven't done so far in your school as yet?
No, I have done all of these three.
Okay, everything has been done so far.
Yes.
Okay, what is it that you'd find yourself doing really well, or you find easier?
Narrative.
Okay, you find narratives easier. Why? What, like, do you think you've got everything?
Because
Mhm.
my teachers also suggest me to write narrative because they think that I handle the plot very well.
Okay, very good. You handle the plot very well. And is it also because of the vocabulary?
Um, that is why I particularly joined your module along with the comprehension problem, that
Hmm.
I want to improve on my vocabulary to
Perfect.
like
Okay,
to improve my plot and the setting.
perfect. Okay, so first of all, first things first. Remember there will be a set of vocabulary words for argumentative, reports, and formal letters that I'll share with you. If you use those particular words in your writings, of course, that will take it up a notch. For narratives, especially, I'll give you like weekly assignments also. That will actually ask you to write a particular set of words in your narratives. A very good idea would be to start working on your use of idioms, and phrasal verbs in narratives. How to
Um,
use show not tell technique, because narratives are kind of complex, because you need to show your descriptive writing skills as well as weave them through the plot, right? S-
yes. Should we use our French words in narrative writing?
is your character narrative, is your character French?
No.
Where would you be using a French word, which is like a, now there are two things: a word that has a French etymology, or which is in a sense a French word but is now a common use word in English, then yes. But it depends upon the context. If you're talking about that your character is French and you want to show through his dialogues that yes, he is a French without telling the readers that he's French, you can use a particular word like bonjour.
For example, if we want to write a dialogue in which we have to, in which we want to use a French word,
Hmm.
although the character, keeping in mind that the character is not French,
Hmm.
so can we use it?
You can use it if you want to show his personality like that. Give me a word that you want to include in your narrative.
Like we are ending some narrative and we want to tell the readers that he had a very bad experience. So can we write Le Plumon in the in like
Yes.
instead of bad? Okay, I
Yeah,
got it.
you can use that. Of course, that is going to be, see anything. But there are certain do's and don'ts of using those vocabulary words as well. There are sometimes I've seen some students have actually they cram and memorize words and then they fit in everywhere, like every type of writing. And I tell in my, like, of course, when we will go through the lessons also, we'll go through your, and maybe we'll also take a look at your assignments, and I'll give you like feedback in the live sessions also. Of course, you'll be getting feedback overall as well. So we'll also share things that shouldn't be done or what could have made it better instead. If you had written this particular thing, it would have made it better. Did you get it? So
Okay, I
you'll
got
also
it.
get directions in that manner. How is your directed writing so far?
Directed writing, I know all the rules, but I usually thrive in argumentative and account, I would say.
Okay, account. Is
Sorry,
account
argumentative, magazine and account.
okay? Account writing, is account writing a part of your syllabus?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, have you checked the latest syllabus
No.
for 2023? That's one problem. You just have what else do you have? Magazine article, report, letters, and speech.
Formal and informal letter speech.
You don't have to be like really preparing for an account. If the teachers have done it, fine. But